I've been sent to give you an urgent message. Please stop paying attention to what your competition is doing. Like literally ignore your competitors. Your business's success depends on it. What? We got a lot to unpack. Hey, friend, Graham here. I'm very passionate about this subject. I want your business to succeed. I really, really do. And before you throw me out to the wolves as being naive and ignorant, and I know what you're going to say, there's merits to keeping an eye on what's working and what's trending, blah, 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 blah. Can we just put that off on the shelf just for a second? Just for a second. I'm here to help you. I want you to win. That's what the show's all about. And let me just break this down for you. There's a couple of things going on here that are happening when you pay attention to your competitors, to either your literal competitors, like you know them and you're actually competing, or what I really mean by competitors is other people in your space, in your niche, in your industry, doing the type of business you're doing. Here's the problem. What I want to do is walk you through actually 3 problems with paying attention and copying and being inspired by, or however you want to call it, your competitors. There's 3 problems with that. There's 3 reasons why we do it. And then what I want to do is give you 4 solutions, 4 alternatives to actually help you win in your business. It reminds me of a story. When I was starting my first business, The Recording Revolution, I was teaching, if you don't know that business, you can go check out The Recording Revolution, but I was teaching musicians how to set up and use recording equipment in a home recording studio. That was my first online business. So I would do tutorials, gear reviews, and just help budget musicians buy budget equipment in non-traditional spaces that weren't meant to be recording studios and put it all together, learn the craft of it so that their music would sound really, really professional. And I was not the first in that space, and I was not the only in that space. And obviously there are plenty of others in the space now today. But even when I started in 2009, I was not even the first. And one of the other people who had started before me is a guy named Joe Gilder. And Joe, if you're listening, you know who you are. We became really, really good friends, which was great. Early on, we decided to not view each other as competitors in general, but as collaborators and friends. We started a podcast together for fun. We did in-person workshops and events in Nashville together. We ended up running a membership site together for 7 years, and we made a ton of money together and served a ton of people. It's really, really fun. And he's still running his business today as well, Home Studio Corner. You should check it out. He's really, really good at what he does. So we became friends, and I didn't view him as competition, even though I could have. But even I'm giving you this example as an extreme. Even a good friend who also became a business partner, he still had his own business, and I had my own business. And I tell this story often, but I remember there was a season where I was starting to see his emails come in, because I was on his email list, of course, and he was doing some really cool things and launching some cool products, and I was getting a little jealous, and I was getting a little like distracted, and I was like, well, maybe I should be doing what Joe's doing. That's actually a really good idea. And I remember how it made me feel, like this angst of watching him roll out his new things and comparing it to what I was doing and thinking, should I be doing that? And I remember it being such a frustration and a burden that I eventually unsubscribed from Joe's emails. I unsubscribed from my friend's email list, who was also an active business partner of mine, because I just knew I needed to not see what he was up to because it wasn't good for my soul. Now, that's just an example of me knowing my limits and my personal tendencies and where I'm going to get discouraged. And I know I work best when my head is down. But what I've discovered coaching tons of online business owners over the years, especially my really successful ones that are doing multi-6 and 7-figure businesses, that they, and maybe you, pay way too much attention to the competition. Way too much. And what I want to submit to you today is that you actually can ignore them completely. Not only can you, the success of your business depends on you ignoring it. To the degree that you ignore your competition, I believe, is the degree of how much success you'll have in your business. Let me unpack this. Here's the problem. Most of us are so insecure about our business or our content that we'll just look at what everyone else is doing and copy it or mimic it or quote unquote be inspired by it, aka copy it. And this could be anything. This could be copying the type of product they're launching. It could be copying their sales copy. I've literally had my sales pages, I've had my whole websites literally copied and pasted. And then they swap out a logo and the name of the person running the business, but they don't actually go through all the copy and they haven't swapped out the name of the product. There's still my product name on their page. Like, if you're going to copy me, at least try to do it a little more strategically. People copy sales copy, people copy pages, but most often than not, what's happening is people are copying trends. Oh, they see a certain style of launch. I'm going to copy that launch. Everyone's doing challenges. Okay, I'm going to do a challenge. Oh, this is how they do their challenge. I'm going to do it just that way. And what we will do is we will look to the most successful of us, or so we think, which we'll get into in a minute, and say, wow, they're doing this big thing. Maybe I should be doing that big thing. And we copy it because we are so afraid and insecure. We're afraid that we don't have what it takes. We're afraid that our sales copy is not good enough. We're afraid that our launch strategy is not good enough. We're afraid that the way we think about business and marketing isn't good enough because we're either brand new, so we aren't good enough yet, and we don't have any proof that we can do it. So I understand that. I know what that feels like. Or even if we're doing a good job, we're all just insecure at the end of the day. And so we look at someone else and we always assume, well, I shouldn't say we always assume. There's actually two types of people, but a good chunk of us will assume that those people out there that have been doing it longer than us or that seemingly have a bigger impact or reach than us, they must know what they're doing as opposed to me. And so they must have made that decision for a reason. So therefore, I'm just going to shortcut the process. That if I just do what they're doing, I'll be successful too. This happens all the time. All the time. People copied me for years with the recording revolution. Saw it all the time. People copied me in this brand with my personal brand all the time. Just the other day, I literally had someone point out to me that there was some guy who literally copied and pasted my whole website with my same logo. And like all my sales copy, just swapped out his name. Like, this happens all the time at that level. But it's also just happening in a sort of sneaky level where if you look around, everyone's kind of doing the same thing. Everyone's kind of sounding the same, looking the same. Okay, so we'll get to this in a second. Why is it a problem to copy or mimic or do what your other competitors are doing? 3 problems. Number 1, and the biggest problem with this that no one seems to talk about is we don't even know if what they're doing is working for them. Do we know that 5-day challenge that they're running is actually putting money in their bank account? And if so, how much money? And if so, is that profit or just before the ad spend that got all the leads to come to the challenge? Like, come on, guys. Like, $1 million launches mean nothing. $1 million challenge means nothing if it costs $975,000 to get leads for it. Then it was just a $25,000 launch, which is great. But just call it what it is. It's a $25,000 launch. It's not a $1 million launch. So we don't know if what that person you're copying or mimicking is doing. People that copy me, they don't know if it's working for me. They just assume it is. But they don't know. I try things all the time, and not all of them work. So if you're copying me without any data of how it went on the back end, you're taking a risk. And this is what's crazy to me is we see people, oh, everyone's on TikTok. I should probably get on TikTok. Well, is all the effort they're putting into TikTok and all the reels on Instagram, is that actually putting money in their pocket and moving their business forward? If it is, that's a separate conversation. We'll talk about that in a second. But do we know? Do you know that person that you look up to, that you're mimicking, that you're like, oh my gosh, the way she does everything, I'm just going to copy her thing. I'm going to copy his thing. Do you know that it's actually working for them? You don't. It sure seems like it is because no one's going to act like it's not. Everyone's going to put on their best self. Everyone's going to act confident because it's a decision they made. Of course, they're going to believe in their decision, but we don't know if it's working for them. How can you have so many successful people on YouTube, social, online business owners, all of a sudden from one day to the next, quit, disappear, right? Disappear. It's just, don't copy what you see because you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Very, very important. That's the number one problem with copying. Number two, okay, maybe it is working for them. Maybe that person that you're following, maybe that competitor that you are looking to, that inspirational figure in your industry or niche that you want to be like them, like maybe they are crushing it. Because you know what? Of course, there are people that are crushing it, and the tactics and the strategies and the things they're doing are actually working. Even if it is working for them, it may not work for you. I don't know how else to say this, but not every strategy or every tactic or every idea works the same for everybody. This is part of what I love about business, is that there are so many paths to greatness and so many paths to success. I love the variety. So that's a beautiful thing. The flip of that is, just because one path works for some person, one technique works for some person, one type of content or one type of YouTube thumbnail or one type of reel or blah, blah, blah works for someone, does not mean it'll work for you, for your audience, for your customers, for your industry. Now, you don't know that till you try it. I get it. But again, don't blindly copy what you see, because A, it may not be working for them. 9 times out of 10, I promise you it's not. And B, even if it's the 10% that it is working for them, there is no guarantee that it's going to work for you. So blindly copying it without any thought or strategy or research behind it, again, it could be a giant waste of your time. At best, a giant waste of your time. At worst, it could push your business backwards, because maybe you're already doing the thing that works well for your business, which we'll kind of get to in a second. But number 3, and this one blows me away. Number 3 problem with copying what other people are doing, your competitors are doing. And this one blows me away, that people don't seem to care about this or realize what's happening because it's just obvious, is that even if it works for them, and so you copy it, and even if then it, wow, miraculously works for you, in the end, you're just going to look like them. And everyone else that's copying them, and everyone else that they're copying, because I promise you they're copying somebody else. What does that mean? If you look like everybody else, you disappear. You blend in, which is the literal opposite of what you're trying to do in business. It has been said that the number one marketing strategy is to do something or be someone worth talking about. The number one marketing strategy is to do something or be someone worth talking about. Something or someone that's remarkable. People remark about it. If you look like everybody else, if you're doing what everyone else is doing, no one will notice you. And then you will not get the leads. You will not get the attention, because we are in an attention economy, and attention leads to money. It's the first step. If you can't get attention, you're not going to get money. And you can't get attention if you look like everybody else. You just disappear. It's so funny that our insecurity of, I don't know if I'm good enough, I'm different than them, is what drives us to become and look like and just blend in with everyone else, because we don't want to be on our own. We don't want to stand out. We're afraid that we're not good enough, so we want to be like the people that are successful. And by virtue of doing that thing, our fear drives us to actually realize our greatest fear, which is that we're not good enough. No one's going to buy from us. Do you see what I'm saying here? Okay. Those are the 3 problems with copying what you see your competitors are doing. I got to move on. Why do we do this? So there's actually 3 distinct reasons why we do this. It's a little bit different for everybody. Number 1 is that we're lazy. You might be lazy. That might be you. Like, you're just straight up. It takes work to figure this stuff out. I've been in business. I've been doing online business for over 14 years. It takes work to figure out a lead gen strategy, a lead nurture strategy, fulfillment of the product, like good launches, customer service, ascension, retention, like content strategy. It takes work. I'm still figuring things out, and I've done this twice successfully, and still it's work to learn and like figure out a better way to do things. So you're like, you know what? I don't want to do the work. So I'm just going to copy what Graham's doing. I'm going to copy what Amy Porterfield's doing. I'm going to copy what Alex Hormozy is doing. Great. Be inspired by those greats, right? But don't copy them. That's lazy. Do the work to figure it out yourself the way you're supposed to do it. So laziness is one reason. Maybe that's not you. Maybe that rings true, though. It's one reason why we copy. I've had clients of mine who are incredibly successful, who've become dear friends, who in the early days copied me. And they admitted it as out of laziness and insecurity. They've since changed their ways and figured things out and done it their own way, which is so, so important. Do it your own way, because that's where you're going to find your exponential growth. Second reason why we copy is we're just afraid. We all deal with imposter syndrome. We all deal with imposter syndrome. I wrote about this in my first book, How to Get Paid for It. One of the reasons why people don't launch their online business is they just don't feel like they deserve it. They don't feel like they're ready. They don't feel like anyone's going to listen to them. And so when you have the courage to take that first step of I'm going to launch my business, or you have your business and you have the courage to take that first step to taking your business to the next level and playing in a bigger pool and a bigger sandbox, imposter syndrome floods in. And so it doesn't feel good to feel like an imposter, like you're fake, like you're going to be found out. You don't know what you're doing. It doesn't feel good. So what do? We look to what's already been proven, or so we think, in the marketplace, so we can copy it and we can feel safe knowing, hey, that's a proven method, or so I can tell. I'm just going to copy so that I can feel better about myself. Fear is a huge reason why we do this. And third reason why we do this is something that I talk about in my upcoming book, Rebel, something that I've called the two-way mirror of meaning. Hang with me here. Imagine a two-way mirror, right? Like in a police headquarters, they're interrogating a suspect and they want to bring in somebody to sort of like identify the criminal or potential criminal. And so you've got two rooms separated by a mirror, but it's really two-way glass. So you're on one side of the glass, and on one side it's see-through. I can see into the other room. But in that room that I can see through to, they look at the glass and it looks like a mirror to them. It's reflective. They can't see me. They just see themselves, right? Two-way mirror. So imagine a two-way mirror. My theory in the two-way mirror of meaning is this is how we see the world. And when we try to figure ourselves out and try to figure out who am I, what's my business, what are my goals, what's my destiny, what's my future, we're trying to do this work, figure it out, and it's like becoming a teenager and growing up, like, who am I? When you're figuring out your identity, even as a business owner, and we try to look inside ourselves, we look at the mirror, who am I? Just by nature of the way the world is set up and the way human beings are, we're always on the see-through side. So when we look at ourselves or look at the mirror, we're actually not seeing ourselves. We're seeing through the glass to the other people. So we see all the competition. We see all our friends. We see what everyone else is doing on YouTube or social media. And so we can't see ourselves. It is hard to see ourselves. All we see is everybody else. And then here's the problem. This is reinforced because then if we go and ask other people, or even ask a coach, or you're in a mastermind, you ask smart people. This is one of the downfalls of getting advice. It's not perfect. And I'm a huge advocate of coaching and masterminds. I had both. I do both. I am a coach. I have coaches. I've had masterminds. I'm in masterminds. I'm a huge advocate, but they're not perfect. Because one of the reasons why they're not perfect is I'm seeing the world and I don't see myself. I see everybody else. And I go to these people and say, hey, here's what I'm thinking about doing with my business, or I've got a launch coming up, or I'm struggling on YouTube. What do you think I should do? When you see me, what do you see? Like, what's my style? What's my strategy? When they look back at you, they're on the reflective side. So they actually don't see you. They see themselves. So what do they say? They say, well, you should do what I'm doing. Yeah, this is what I do. This is my launch strategy. That's what I think you should do. This is how I do content. That's what I think you should do. Everyone's advice is what they do. It's the downfall of asking for advice. I love getting good counsel, but most people are horrible at getting counsel because they don't listen to you. They don't know you. They just tell you to do what they do or what they've seen other people do. Does this make sense? This is the two-way mirror of meaning. It is me looking at them and them looking at them and telling me to be like them, and it self-reinforces. And so we get nowhere. And I start to then copy them because that's what I see. It's also what they tell me to do. And we all start to look the same. This is making sense. So you might not be lazy. You might not be afraid. But when you go to ask for counsel or advice, you just get stuck in this loop of looking like and sounding like everybody else. Do you feel that this is a problem? Do you see how this could be a problem potentially in your business? Can I pause for a second? Have you seen this in your own business so far? Have you seen yourself copying? Is there a certain person or type of person that you've mimicked or copied out of fear, laziness, insecurity, them reinforcing that you should just be like them? Okay, what's the solution? If we've been paying too much attention to what our competitors are doing, we need to shift our attention to 4 different things. And my theory is that if you shift your attention away from your competition, your energy away from looking at what everyone else is doing, scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through YouTube, and seeing what everyone else is doing and copying it, if you just shift your attention away from the competitors and the peers in your industry to these 4 things, you will be more successful. Ready? Hey, friend, we'll get back to the episode in just a moment. Real quick, I hope you're enjoying the episode. And if so, please share it with somebody that needs to hear this episode today. It would mean so much to me. Also, I want to give you a gift for hanging out with me today. I want to give you my free $1 million life-giving business formula on-demand training. Inside of this less than 60-minute training, it will help you uncover your uniqueness to build a 7-figure boutique brand without burning out. This is some of my favorite material. These are the things that I'm taking my private clients through, but I want to share them with you in this free training. So if you've already built your business, but it's not giving you life, it's taking life from you, this is the training for you. It's absolutely free. Just go to grahamcochrane.com/lifegiving. That's grahamcochrane.com/lifegiving, all one word. And you can register for your spot right there. Now back to the episode. Number 1, pay attention to your audience. Pay attention to your people, right? Like, you've got your own tribe. Stop looking at their tribe. Stop looking at what they're doing. Serve your people. How do you serve? How do you win in business? It's not by competing and looking at competition. You're looking at the wrong group of people. Look at your people, right? Keep your eyes down in front of your people. What do they want? Give them that. What do they need? Give them that. What are they afraid of? Meet them there. What keeps them up at night? Address those things. And this is applying to your content. This is applying to your offers. This is applying to your customer service. Like, you want to win at business, listen to your customers. Listen to your audience. Listen to the people that pay attention to you. Pay attention to them. It's the only respectful thing you could do. Now, we talked about this a little bit last week's episode. Don't pay too much attention to the loud complainers, but have the discernment to know who genuinely appreciates you and your content and your products and your offers, and get to know what they need. Get to know what they want. Get to know what they dream about. Get to know what they're afraid of. You will have endless ideas for content and products if you just pay attention to your audience. Number 2, pay attention to your own dreams. The way to win in business is to stay in the game long enough to win, right? Steve Jobs, founder of Apple, famously said that business is a game of attrition, meaning most businesses die out, and he who's the last man or woman standing wins, just by virtue of being the only person left in the business. There were so many of my competitors in the music audio recording niche, education niche, 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, that are gone. They dropped. And I don't think I was better than them, but I stayed in the game. I mean, it's been going for 14 years. You kind of win if you're the only one around. And I know I'm not the only one around, but do you see my point? So the way to win is to stay in the game long enough. You won't stay in the game long enough if you kind of hate the business that you've built. And you're probably going to hate the business that you've built if it's just a mirror image of someone else's business, because that might not be something you actually love. You might have copied them because they seem strategic and it seems like it's printing money, and maybe it is strategic and maybe it is printing money for them. But if it's not built around what you love and the problems that you love solving and the type of work you love to do and the type of business you want to run, it's not going to work. Good examples of this, let's get really practical with this, is everyone falls for the trap of, oh, I should be doing these massive launches. But have you done these massive launches? They're exhausting. It takes a lot of time. It takes team. It takes mental space. A lot of times it takes money to do the numbers that these people are purporting. They're spending a lot of money to get those numbers, so they're very inflated. You really want to know profit. You don't want to know launch totals. You want to know profit. But just because it's working, everyone copies it because it's sexy. Everybody wants those big launches or challenges. Challenges are awesome if you like doing challenges, but it's a lot of teaching all week long. Right? Like Myron Golden is a brilliant marketer. He does a live challenge every single month. He's very good at what he does. I've been in one of his challenges. And people say like, oh, like I want to do challenges like Myron Golden. Myron Golden has said on the record, the reason why he does a live 5-day challenge every single month is because he likes it. He likes it. If you've listened to Myron Golden, you realize he is a natural teacher. He gets energy being in a room and then broadcasting it to millions of people and teaching the same stuff for hours. He could go for hours and never get tired. He feeds off of that. He loves that. It also happens to be a great strategy for his programs and his masterminds that are very, very high ticket. But if you hate that stuff, if it drains you, if one webinar drains you, don't do 5-day challenges and don't do them every month. I know people that are saying webinars are crushing, so I'm doing a live webinar every week. Don't do that if you hate it. Only do it if you love it. That might not be your dream. You're going to do it for 6 months and then you're going to burn out. So you need to pay attention to your own dreams. You're allowed to be selfish. Go back to what I just said a moment ago. There are so many ways to win in online business. If you ask, is it launches? Is it evergreen launches? Is it funnels? Is it challenges? Is it social? Is it like YouTube podcasts? What is it? The answer is yes. Like all of it works. All of it works, which is an invitation for you to do some soul searching, figure out what you want to do and how you want your business to look, right? There's a lot of freedom there. So pay attention to your own dreams. So pay attention to your audience, pay attention to your own dreams. Number 3, pay attention to your soul. What do I mean by that? Your health of your mind, body, and spirit. What rhythms and schedule helps you thrive? No one can tell you this. Only you can figure this out. And you only know this by trying things and going, well, that burned me out. I did it, but I didn't love it. This has been successful and I'm doing really, really well and reaching my goals, but I'm tired. I mean, I've been in rooms in the last 2 years with some really, really, really successful entrepreneurs. And when we talk about challenges and what do we need help with, or prayers for, like, there's all kinds of different unique situations happening. But one of the most common challenges and narratives I hear amongst almost everybody it's mostly the most successful ones, but everybody is, I'm tired. I am tired. Like, just pray for me. Like I'm not sleeping very well. I'm not taking care of myself. I haven't spent as much time with my kids as I'd like, or I am doing all those things, but I feel like I'm white knuckling. I'm like on the roller coaster. I'm holding real tight onto the handles, and I'm on the ride, and we're going fast, and we're going high, and we're doing great things, but my grip is tight, and I'm exhausted, and I'm just waiting for this hypothetical moment where things will slow down. Can I tell you something, friend? Things aren't going to slow down until you decide to slow down. There's no slowdown police coming to say, Graham, you need to slow down. You need to take a little bit of a break. Maybe just chill out on some of those product launches. Maybe only do 1 new product this year instead of 2 or 3. Maybe only do 1 piece of long form content instead of 3 a week. Like no one's coming to tell you that until you have a nervous breakdown or your wife or husband leaves you or your kids hate you or your health fades or something happens horrible, right? Which we don't want that to happen, should be the wake-up call. Or there's a slow death in your business because even though it's been successful, you as the greatest asset to your company is starting to suffer. And so you're no longer as valuable because you're not rested and you're not focused. Like, we don't want that to happen. So there's that. No one's going to come tell you to slow down. 2, the opportunities aren't going to slow down. The longer you're in business, the more opportunities come your way. The key to success as you become more successful is to learn how to say no. And that's so hard. The biggest reason why is because you're so afraid. What if this is like my next big break? And like, I'm telling you that from experience. It is really hard to say no when really cool things are presented to you or really cool people want to be in your corner or connect with you. No one can tell you what that rhythm is or how many yeses versus nos, but you got to figure that out for yourself because it's not going to slow down. It's not going to slow down unless you say so. And number 4 thing you need to pay attention to is your top customers. Okay, in last week's episode, if you haven't listened to it, the 7 mindset shifts or 7 mental shifts that we use to hit 7 figures, Shay and I jumped on an episode together to talk about them. One of those mental shifts was to spend more time with your top customers. This is a life hack for successful business, right? Is pay attention to your top customers, the people who have spent the most money with you or done business with you for the most amount of years. Jump on Zoom calls with them, jump on a phone call with them, email them, and figure out more about what they want. What do they love about you? Like, why do they do business with you? Why do they choose to come and do business with you versus someone else? What do they say is valuable about you, your offerings, your content? We're so close to our stuff. We hopefully believe that it's valuable. We hopefully believe that it's helping, and hopefully the dollars coming in prove to us that's the number one metric that what we're doing matters because people are taking out their hardest earned possession. Their money, their wealth represents their life and their work. So they're giving you functionally some of their life every time they're spending money with you. So dollars are the number one indicator that you're being successful. It doesn't mean true ultimate success, but it's a great indicator. If they've spent a lot of those dollars with you or spent a lot of dollars with you for a long period of time, that says something about what you're doing. But we're so close to it that we don't know what is the uniqueness about it. We can't smell our own fragrance, our own uniqueness. We're too close to it. You know how like if you ever go away on vacation and you come back to your home or apartment, you walk in and you notice that smell? You're like, oh, is this what my house smells like? Yes, that's what your house smells like. For better or for worse. Hopefully for better. But when you live in it every day, you stop noticing that smell. It's not that the smell was gone. The smell is always there, but you just don't notice it. The same is true in your business. You don't notice the aroma of your greatness. You don't notice the aroma of your uniqueness, the aroma of what's valuable about you because you just smell it all the time. It just disappears. And so you need other people who value you, who can get in front of you and you say, hey, what is it about our company that you love or our content that you love? And that's a great place to start. They will tell you. So when I talk to some of my top customers, it's, hey, I love that you talk about wanting to win in business, but also you're always talking about your family and you're always talking about taking time to travel with them. And you're not ever pushing to just hustle. And you value your faith. Like a lot of people say, I like you because you value your faith. I even have atheists and non-Christians who like that I talk about my faith. They're not offended by my faith because they can handle it, right? They're secure in their own decisions. They don't have to adopt my faith, but they're not offended by it, but they respect it because they're like, I appreciate that you're not afraid to be fully you because I almost learned something in seeing you, Graham, be fully you. And your faith is a huge part of who you are, as is your family, your love for Star Wars or whatever it is. They see that and they're like, that's instructive for me that I can show up in my content business and be fully me and whatever that looks like and not have to dumb myself down or hide parts of me to be successful. And so I have people that tell me they value that about me. Authenticity is a word I hear a lot. I love how authentic you are. I love how you're not pushy. I love how I don't feel like you're selling me. You're just giving to me. These are all actual things some of my top customers tell me. So I need to be reminded of that. So I go, oh, that's what I smell like, proverbially, right? That's what I smell like to the world. That's the aroma I'm putting out there. And some people don't like that smell, and that's fine. They'll go somewhere else. But some people really are attracted to that smell, and that's what they like about me. But I don't know what that is unless I ask. You don't know what that is unless you ask. So make a list of your top 5 customers right now by dollars spent or years doing business with you, and ask them to jump on a Zoom call with you and ask them, hey, can you just answer a few questions to help me? I want to be able to serve you and people like you better. What do you love most about doing business with me? What do you get the most out of my content? Why do you choose me over somebody else? Or why do you listen to my show or watch my videos? Or why are you in my community or mastermind over somebody else's? And take copious notes. And then ask the harder questions. What could I be doing better to serve you and people of your caliber? What gaps do you see in my product offering or my content that would serve you? And you're not promising you're going to do everything, but you genuinely value their feedback. That's what you want to pay attention to. Not your competitors. Who cares what they're doing? It has literally nothing to do with you. Have you ever thought about that? What your competition is doing, what other people in your industry are doing, even industry leaders, has literally nothing to do with you. What they're doing has no significance to us, no impact on us. That is them running their businesses for their customers with their unique goals, their unique flavor of life, their unique perspective. The way to be successful is to do it your way. To do it your way, to be a rebel. Okay? This is a huge part of what is in my new book, Rebel, is the secret to success, the secret to satisfaction, and believe it or not, the secret to service to others is to do it your way. And I know that we're scared, and I know that it takes work and we're lazy, and I know that people are reinforcing that we should do it their way, but I'm telling you, the key to success, satisfaction, and service to others lies in those 4 words. Do it your way. So, my friend, here is your permission to cover your ears, cover your eyes, unsubscribe from everybody. You can even unsubscribe from me, and I would be proud of you if that's what you need to do. But here's your permission to absolutely ignore, be completely naive to what your competitors are doing. Take your attention, your most valuable asset, right? And don't give it to anybody else. Give it to yourself, give it to your customers, give it to your audience, and give it to your business, and watch your business grow. I hope this was helpful to you. If so, please let me know in a comment below if you're watching on YouTube, or rate the review and review the show on Apple Podcast and let me know that this episode helped you. It tells me that I'm making a difference in your life, and that's all that matters. That's why I'm here. Not to look at my competitors, not to look at industry-leading people, but to look at you and to serve you, to help you create more money, margin, and meaning in your life. I'll see you on another episode real soon.